Exclusive contract novel from Feilu Novel Network. I'll just watch a video, ancient people cry to prevent addiction. Swipe a short video, ancient people crying and demanding anti-addiction measures. When Fang Ping saw the sexy and hot little sister, Cao Cao. This brother really can handle it. After seeing the food at birth, Li Shimin. I'm really sour. Modern pigs eat better than ancient emperors. Answer 1. The battle between the salty and sweet of bean curd jelly served with sauce. Answer 2. Zongzi sweet-salt dispute. Answer 3. Do you eat coriander? Short video LPL to dark moment Liu Che. Why can't the all-China class win the championship? Ying Zheng. I will cancel the account and retire. I am a mage, and I have won the order. Li Xin. Broken hand sword demon. Have you ever heard of light? I am the sun. Short video on ancient unofficial historyZhou. You said, I pretended to die and transformed into Huang Yueying, successfully seducing Zhuge Liang, which led to Sima Yi's hatred for love. Li Bai. I scumbagged Du Fu because Wang Lun's dowry was only 500,000 yuan. Li Qingzhao. Is it okay to only carry others? Shy to answer. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Sending my wife as a gift when watching videos. Far ahead. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. On the 6th day of the 10th lunar month, it is advisable to open the sun, start construction, lay a bed, and travel. Afternoon, the bright autumn sun in the morning suddenly changed the sky, with a sudden drop in temperature and gusts of cold wind. Before long, autumn rain began to fall. The drizzling rain line alternates between big and small, intermittent and repetitive. Under the eaves and on the sidewalks, there are puddles mixed with car exhaust everywhere, and there is always a linear damp atmosphere in the air that cannot be dispelled, which is annoying. Even if the heavy rain turns this city upside down, I won't report to the office. Feeling the chill in the air, Fang Ping's heart sank and she hurriedly walked into her single apartment, unwilling to stay outside for too long. Get off the elevator, run for a walk, and come to your own door. Take out the keys that were already prepared downstairs. Fang Ping started looking for the keyhole. In spring and autumn, the wind and rain sway. Some people take shelter under the eaves, while others borrow umbrellas to wrap their clothes. Fang Ping looked indifferent, as the salary was not high either. The sound of a crackling sound came from behind the corner of the square wall, catching Fang Ping's attention. Fang Ping turned his head and saw a beautiful young woman dressed in white silk pajamas. Amidst her busy schedule, her face was rosy and her forehead was covered in light sweat. This rain, if you don't take an umbrella, maybe it will be more romantic. Fang Ping exclaimed, but at the same time, a twisted and excited smile appeared on his face. Excited, the hand holding the key probed and retorted several times, but it didn't get stuck in the lock. Helplessly, she turned around and opened the door, walking towards the living room without looking back, as if she had made some kind of decision. As a 21st century newspaper animal, Fang Ping has been busy for half a day and can now be considered lying on the bed with a corpse. As soon as I lay down, my phone rang. No need to guess at all, it must be his supervisor, that old man with a foul mouth, a small belly and chicken intestines, a square-faced beer belly and a Mediterranean belly. Go to work, damn it. Fang Ping pushed the phone aside and flipped over on the bed. It doesn't matter, just consider him dead. Smiling, the bell kept ringing incessantly, and Fang Ping couldn't bear it anymore. He reached out and pushed his phone further away, but with greater strength, he pushed it to the ground. He bounced off the bed all at once. Busily picking up the phone. My little baby, Huawei Mate 60 Pro Yuan phone blue, don't break it, woo woo woo. Picking up the precious phone, Fang Ping looked around carefully, confirming that there were no flaws, and finally breathed a sigh of relief. I really don't recommend everyone to buy the Huawei Mate 60 Pro. It's very fragile. Just now, I lightly fell and felt a noise. I put my phone next to my ear and vaguely heard a few words while dating. Hongmeng. System. Far ahead. Watch videos, earn. Wife Fang Ping, who was listening to the noise, was a bit confused. Looking at the Yuan Phone Blue 5G phone, he smiled coldly. Far ahead. Can you earn integrity by watching videos? Go ahead and deceive the ghost. Fang Ping felt that it wasn't just him who didn't believe it, he was afraid that any normal person would not believe it. At this moment, a text message was sent to his phone. Reading is not exciting, bankruptcy has no limit. Dear Feilu user, your Feilu reader, you have an outstanding balance of 673.345.50. Upon seeing this text message, Fang Ping frowned and then started recharging. He, who was extravagant, found that his bank card only had 2.58 yuan left. How? Why did you go bankrupt? He was at least a 10,000 yuan household before. Junk novels ruin my youth, consume my money, dampen my spirit, and waste my traffic. It's okay not to read. But even if you don't read novels. After thinking about his monthly salary of 1,000 and having to rent a house to eat in the big city of Magic City, Fang Ping had to accept this reality. Didi, readers who have been detected as bankrupt need to be rescued. We are currently in the wholesale system and it is urgent to start production immediately. System production in progress. System production completed, connecting to host, please wait. System binding completed, lying trough. The system has received the payment. Fang Ping clenched his fist and jumped 3 feet high, excited. At the same time, with a ding sound, Fang Ping received a new message on his phone. Congratulations host, you have been selected as the only beta user of the Hongmeng Douyin app. By clicking on the link, downloading the software, and watching short videos, you can earn a lot of income. Precautions. Firstly, please do not download unknown software with the number 91 symbol or the fruit symbol to prevent viruses in the system. Secondly, please do not download Douyin other than Blue. The Blue pen is the true genuine pirated version. This system, it looks so strange, it sounds a bit unconventional. Fang Ping was a bit skeptical and hesitated for a while. I selected the precautions for forking and successfully entered the Hongmeng Douyin section. The software interface is concise and clear, with shopping malls, experiences, follow-ups, and recommendations arranged in sequence on the homepage. Unlike reality, the same city has disappeared and has been changed to withdrawal. Fang Ping's name, native place, ID number, bank card number and income balance are written on the withdrawal center. And a button for visual sharing. Seeing this, Fang Ping was stunned for a moment. What does visual sharing mean? I can't understand Sima Yi. He instinctively thought of electronic fraud and was preparing to withdraw. However, just as he pressed the exit button, his hand shook by a stroke of luck. Visual sharing. Let's first watch a few short videos. The first video that appears is of a beautiful woman rubbing against the edge. The little sister has half a dewy fragrant shoulder, full of affection and tenderness. Wearing a custom-made hanfu with an ancient style, accompanied by a dynamic BGM swaying posture. Doctor, my heart, are you feeling well? Can I prescribe some medicine for you to take? My dead ghost, who is raising his mistress outside and is hungry, will start beating people when he says they too. I've had enough. Well, that's it. Brother's heart is not feeling well either. With a expressionless face, Fang Ping brushes down the complete version of the lazy cover girl Don't Cry. Suddenly, it's you. After so many years, you haven't heard from me. The eraser of time erases memories, but I haven't forgotten you yet. My milk is right, the sheep are still the male's pet. Mei yang yang. Boiling yang yang, let's get married. Boiling sheep. Really? Mei Yang. Really? Because Yang said he likes young women. Fang Ping. After all, I still couldn't let go, Zongzi. I have emo next, Mr. Zhu's latest information, suspected of being reported. Soon, half a day passed. Fang Ping painted a total of 11 sheep, 40.5 repaired horse hooves, 80.9 crazy horse shows of the water god Funina, and of course, more than 200 beauties with different XPs but all growing on Fang Ping's heart. I'm still unsatisfied. Cannot stop. When Fang Pingcut returned to the withdrawal center, he checked the balance, 5,201,314.91. I'll go. Fang Ping was completely stunned. He spent half a day browsing and now he has a Ferrari. I thought I was only given 4 or 5 cents like a persimmon. This is the real welfare, take a look at the lottery. Wait, what if there's any fraud? Income is all fake, only withdrawals to oneself are real. Otherwise, it's all just empty talk. Fang Ping prayed and clicked the withdrawal button. After 3 seconds, the bank sent a text message over. Your bank card ending in 1595 has received 5,201,314.91 yuan, and the current balance is 5,201,317.49 yuan. Hahaha, this incredible wealth and status is finally my turn. System. In modern society, if you have money, there's nothing like that. At young woman in the corner, take the initiative and move on your own. Hongmeng system, far ahead. Now Fang Ping completely believes it. I continued to watch short videos again at the same time, throughout the dynasties. The sky, which had been silent for many years, suddenly had a response. The people all knelt down in panic and kowtowed, while the princes and generals hurriedly ran towards the palace with a frightened expression on their faces. P.S. The first book was stuck by Harmony Monster for a week, and when I saw a book friend asking me to be more and more, I opened another one. The first 2 chapters have not changed, but I have revised the following content. I cannot let you read repetitive or uninteresting content. Seeking first day support, collecting in flowers. Chapter 2. Bare chest and exposed breasts, which is vulgar and immoral. Counting. You are listening at novel full.audio. Mount Taishan, the ceremony of Fengchan is in progress. Ying Zheng, the first emperor, had just walked from the bottom of Mount Taishan to the ticket office halfway up the mountain when it suddenly rained heavily. He stood calmly under the tall, 5 great masses, to shelter from the rain, paying no attention to the whispers in his ear. Needless to say, it must be those brainless experts and PhDs from Confucianism. Li Si was about to step forward, but when he heard Confucian students discussing recklessly, he lowered his head to conceal the sarcasm in his eyes and remained silent. Hey, some people are looking for death and can't even stop them. Your Majesty. Your Majesty, there has been some movement in the sky, and the people in uniform and xianshou cannot kneel up. The guards came to report, and the officials were shocked. Upon seeing this, the accompanying Confucian leader, the crown prince and young woman, Hunan, suddenly became enlightened and took a fierce step forward. Your Majesty, you have achieved great success in the 3 emperors and the 5 emperors, and even the immortals in the sky have made you appear. Standing in the first row, but Li Si, who was 1 step slower, what? You speak so well. You have been taken away, have you? He really wanted to make progress, so he quickly leaned over and said, Your Majesty, the title of emperor is not enough. I would like to call you the Emperor of the Wilderness. Beast baby. You have a big cause and effect. Cao Cao in the last row snatched the land with his head, woo, what you're saying, that's all my words. To be honest, they praised my political brother's heart. Listening to Hunan and Li Si's rainbow farts, Ying Zheng looked up with a happy expression on his face, a little uneasy. The sky curtain appears, and there are indeed immortals in the world. but for some reason, he always had a bad premonition. As expected, next second. Ying Zheng knew his premonition was right. On the sky, there was a beautiful young woman with fair skin, wearing an incomplete dress, revealing her pure white arms, slender waistline, and slender legs. She frowned and flirted with unknown music. Lying trough. Shihuang was dumbfounded. Fuli Ji, isn't it? Has flame spirit Ji appeared? Damn it, this must be another tactic by the remnants of the Six Kingdoms, attempting to disrupt people's hearts with a vision and shake the rule of our great Qin. His heart can be executed, his heart can be executed. The civil and military officials are also dumbfounded, several generals were mesmerized and lost in thought. Meng Tian widened her eyes, it's broken, attacking the heart is the top priority. The remnants of the Six Kingdoms have evolved, restoration failed, changed to the trap of a beautiful woman. The Weiyang Palace of the Western Han Dynasty. It's him, it's him, it's him. Our hero, champion. At this moment, Huan just returned victorious from a battle. Liu Che specially held a banquet in the palace to welcome his biological son. Huan came with his soldiers covered in dust, kowtowed to Liu Che. Your Majesty, I am fortunate enough to live up to my fate. What should you pack quickly? Come to my place to receive the reward. Liu Che couldn't wait anymore and waved his hand. On the side, Wei Qing felt a bit helpless, smiling, he said. Your Majesty, please spoil him. Eunuchs come to report, a group of 3 heads up, I saw the sexy dancing women on the sky, absorbed all the surrounding cold air backwards. I thought it was a divine punishment before, now it seems that, how could it be a culprit? This is an auspicious sign, not a curse mask. Is this the reward that God has given to these victorious people? Too much chicken moving, right? Dong Ajiao, who hides her beauty in a golden house, exudes a strange aura of yin and yang. Your Majesty, is it Jiao Tian or the fairy from Tianmu Tian 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 Tian? The jealous Wei Zifu had a gloomy expression on his face. What are you looking at? Believe it or not, do you believe me in making paper figures? No, no. Liu Che's face showed embarrassment, and Shen smiled. Jiao. Your Majesty, who is sweet Wei Zifu? Humph, paper man. At the end of the Eastern Han Dynasty, during the Three Kingdoms period. Chao Wei. To the east is Jisher, to view the vast sea. The water is desolate, the mountains and islands stand firm. Emperor Wu of Wei, Cao Cao, looked at the sky curtain, I couldn't help but drool, raise your whip. Dongji. I don't know if the lady above the sky is willing to sleep with me tonight. Shuhan. Zhuge Liang directly lit a 7-star lamp to the nth power of 2. I saw his face pale and his expression solemn. I have already pinched out my shadow clone with my fingers, but I still haven't been able to comprehend the heavenly mechanism. After a long time, I could only advise. Master, this is not Dongfeng. It's a demonic wind, an evil wind, an unhealthy wind. Never get addicted. However, at this moment, Liu Bei's mesmerized gaze had already dissipated. He, little sister. Being reckless, I've been fighting for a lifetime, can't I enjoy it? Keep playing music. Keep dancing. Zhang Fei flew into a rage and kicked over the long table, snatching the bow and arrow from the guard behind him and shooting 3 arrows into the sky. What kind of demon, pretending to be a god and playing tricks here? Confusing my elder brother. Guan Yu quickly advised, third brother, you shot too close, too short, use more force. Zhao Yun. Use my silver gun, my gun commander. Zhang Fei. It makes sense. Boiling sheep guard. You. Dare to shoot my goddess. Don't sleep with your eyes closed at night. Wait for me, I will definitely. Dongwu. Governor Zhou Yu observed for a long time, finally, it was discovered that there was something wrong with the woman on the canopy. Although they look very nice, but it's always a bit strange, not natural enough, it seems to have a layer of filters. This is not true beauty. Not as good as my little Qiao sister. Zhou Yu suspected, criticized, and affirmed in his heart, but his gaze did not shift a bit. Chang'an city of the great Tang dynasty. The turmoil at Xuanwu Gate has just passed, and Li Yuan has become a thing of the past. The current Buddha. Emperor Taizong of Tang. General Tiance. Emperor Li Shimin of Tang saw the vision of the sky curtain and frowned. Why is this heavenly curtain woman so underdeveloped? Am I still not broad-minded enough? Li Shimin was a bit worried, maybe it was his improper position that caused the heavens to be angry, and there was such a vision. Wei Zheng was no longer willing. Li Er, I usually say that I am a country bumpkin, I think you are the real country bumpkin. The woman in the sky is shameless, is it none of your business? This is clearly because all the women in the Tang dynasty have narrow-mindedness and are not open enough. Tomorrow in court, I will impeach you. Let you be a good yellow emperor. Don't just think about the old sesame and rotten millet. Li Er. Wei Fenci, just order your face. The Forbidden City, Daming Palace. Zhu Yuanzhang and Empress Ma were about to fall asleep when they suddenly heard a commotion coming from outside the hall. They gently patted Empress Ma's hand and comforted her, saying, "Big girl, don't be afraid, I'll go out and take a look." Stepping out of the hall, I saw a celestial vision. Zhu Yuanzhang immediately instructed the royal guards to strengthen the protection around the Crown Prince Zhu Biao's palace and ensure the physical and mental health of his precious son. Then his eyes narrowed and he lowered his gaze to ponder. Chen Yuliang is already dead. Who was the one who carried out this pretentious and devilish means of communication? Let me take a good look. Empress Ma. Whimpering, Chongba has been out for an hour. Why haven't you come back yet? Abandon and clear. There are scholars and scholars, and there are disgraceful scholars and scholars. Dishonest and vulgar, corrupt and vulgar. Not pleasing to the eye, not pleasing to the eye. These sour and corrupt literati, poisoned by feudal superstition, see bold women on the sky, holding a folding fan to block my eyes, as if one more glance would explode one's reputation, while muttering, the sound of decadence, the vulgar words of dance, do not look at or listen to non-etiquette. The world is really going downhill. A woman who doesn't stay at home to serve her in-laws, husband, and children is actually exposing her arms and legs in broad daylight. Since you criticize these sisters, why do you still cover your eyes with a folding fan? A young child on the roadside pointed to one of the sour and decaying scholars and asked curiously. The sour and decaying scholar's face turned red with anger, the Qingzhao stripes on the forehead burst out, pointing at the child, he argued. Defamation, this is slander. It's not to just glance at me as a scholar. Then there are some difficult words to understand, what kind of thing is it, what kind of gentleman is a good match? The onlookers burst into laughter, the outside of the store is filled with a joyful atmosphere. P.S. Sorry, the author is self-produced and self-sold, book enthusiasts stopped reading and started writing books, so I really don't want to write about rice or maps. I got tired of watching it, so I skipped these without authorization. This may lead to some ancient people being born knowing it logically, so I apologize in advance to everyone. Chapter 3. Rise in Collapse, Resurrect in Silence. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. First Qin, Strong Han, Prosperous Tang, Rich Song, Overlord Yuan, Just Ming, Abolish Qing He, it seems like something's missing. Every dynasty, every parallel spacetime, some ancient people were shocked by the short videos on the sky. And at this point, the screen rotates again, a title appears. How many soldiers sacrificed in the anti-Japanese war in various provinces during those years? The last emperor Aizen Joro Puyi abdicated and the Qing court fell, but the suffering of the land of China did not stop the eight-nation alliance: invasion of Japanese pirates, natural disasters, famines, epidemics, droughts, bandits, warlord separatism. Mountains and rivers are shattered, and wind and rain are swaying against this backdrop of the times. Someone said in despair, "This country is hopeless. There are Japanese pirates who are bullying. Kill all these people." A child cried and said, "Woo-woo. Give it back to my father, mother." The flames of war spread across the land of China, with blood flowing through the 9 provinces. Amidst the golden army and iron horses, gunfire roared everywhere, as well as human tragedies. There were screams, cries, and the cries of babies. Time waits for no one. Save the nation. Spring and autumn period and warring states period. Chu Yuan sailed on the river, turning his back to the capital and leaving his hometown. Keep looking back. Seeing the trees of his homeland go far away, his tears are like flying snow. The ship drifted further and further away, unable to even see the trees, and there was no trace of our country behind us. Chu Yuan sighed. No one in heaven and earth sailed with him. Jieshe is silent, with lush grass by the Miluo River. Just as Chu Yuan was in despair, suddenly, I saw a golden light emerging from the sky, like a miracle. And in the golden light, the sound spans through the ages and comes leisurely. Whether you are currently in a chaotic era of war and chaos, or a prosperous and stable era of peace and prosperity, please do not give up your ideals, because in those desperate years, there was a China rising from the ruins resurrected in silence. It is precisely because of those ancestors who died without regret that we have the prosperous era of China today, where all nations are afraid and mountains and rivers are majestic. The voice of the up host is not mournful enough, but it was loud and resounding. The sound echoes across the heavens and realms, echoing in everyone's ears. He did his best. At this moment, all time and space fell silent for a moment. What? At this moment, Chu Yuan by the Miluo River was extremely shocked, trembling all over. Even the big Zongzi he held fell to the ground, unconsciously. Is there a China that rises in decline and recovers in silence? This sentence hit his heart. He couldn't let go for a long time. The short video is still playing, and the text is still emerging. If they didn't fight that war, then it would be their descendants who will fight. If no one carries the sack of life to fill the gap of the times, then the torrent of broken embankments will carry future generations and crush them into gravel with greater impact. The wind and rain sway, life and death are always heavy. It was they who used flesh and blood to make mud, bones and bones to form a frame, that forged that glorious and poignant history of blood and tears. To the martyrs who fought and even sacrificed in these years through this film. Is this a descendant of my great Chu? Chu Yuan muttered to himself with confusion in his eyes. The whole world is turbid, only he is pure. Loyal but slandered, believing but skeptical. It's just that in the court of Chu, the people in charge are confused. The 9 songs are a masterpiece, but they are no match for Shang's 600-mile journey. After more than a decade of wandering, I finally achieved a song of separation and coquettishness. Ying of de Chu has been lost. He shed sorrowful tears, but was powerless. How dark is China in later generations to make those people fight endlessly? Is it even more powerless than the state of Chu, whose capital has fallen? If it is even darker, more difficult, and powerless than the state of Chu. In future generations, when China has risen, what reason does Chu have to blame itself? Chu Yuan had a withered face and stood up to walk by the Miluo River. Suddenly, he burst into tears and laughed heartily. Alas! I still have the kindness in my heart. Even though I have died 9 times, I still have no regrets. At the same time, the Qin Palace. Emperor Shi looked at the sky curtain and asked in confusion. What does this mean? What does the downfall of the Qin dynasty mean? The warlord regime. Where is the emperor? Where has my lifelong imperial legacy gone? The courtiers in the main hall were also puzzled. Even in the most chaotic world, there should be kings, nobles, generals, and ministers. Why can't the emperor be seen in this video? Not seeing the king. A country cannot be without a ruler for a day. Is it? The extinction of the country. When this idea came to mind, everyone only felt a tingling scalp, and they couldn't believe that such a thing would happen in the future. Ying Zheng also thought of this possibility. He angrily smashed the walnut with the jade seal, his eyes wide open in anger, and said incredulously. Did I, the great Qin, be conquered and exterminated in later generations? The ministers around were seen trembling with fear, silently bowing their heads, and not a single one dared to speak. Ying Zheng looked at Li Si, who didn't know how to answer and stood up in fear. Your Majesty, this. I don't know either. Your Majesty, this future generation has not died, there is still a reversal. Everyone, please take a look at VCR. Chunyu stood with his hands down and spoke confidently. Although future generations have suffered indescribable hardships in the video, this country has not yet perished. The word rise is a testament. Everyone quickly lifted their heads to look at the sky curtain. There are indeed words like rise on it. It turns out that there has been national extinction. Thinking of this, the courtiers breathed a sigh of relief. Ying Zheng was the same, but he later became angry and said. Unexpectedly, the widowed great Qin has not had countless generations. What exactly happened when the last emperor abdicated? Chapter 4. This afterlife is really outrageous. Seeking data. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Under the stage, the true eternal emperor, Huai, the vanguard of the anti-Qin movement, silently clenched his fist. Swearing secretly. Father, you have destroyed 6 countries in your lifetime. Then let me complete this last country. How about it, is it powerful or not? Ying Zheng on stage frowned slightly. The sense of worry in my heart has become even stronger. Old Emperor, you're sweating profusely. Trivia: the update time of the bright moon during the Qin dynasty, it existed longer than the Great Qin dynasty. This credit, it is not solely the power of anime planners, but rather the role of ancient and modern linkage. Descendants of future generations. On the day of the end of the Qin dynasty, the family sacrifice will never forget to inform Niwang. Has the Great Qin fallen? The last emperor abdicated. The ministers were trembling and afraid to speak. Just abdicate, then abdicate. It's not our family's throne. Besides, which dynasty can last forever? Even if King Yuan pulled the cart, Zhou only had 800 years. The rise and fall of all dynasties have their own destiny. My breath is exhausted, can only be crushed by the wheels of history. No matter how regretful it is, there is no way to turn the tide. Seeing that everyone was unable to answer, Ying Zheng could only send his hope to Chunyu, who had just shone brightly. Chunyu glanced at the first emperor, as to say walked forward, an unbiased collision with Lis. Your Majesty, I think so. This so-called Zhou is likely to be a rebellious subject and thief that emerged in later generations. That's why it was backfired, leading to a decline in national strength and being invaded by foreign enemies. I believe that as long as we adhere to your leadership and vigorously develop productive forces, our great Qin will surely prosper and prosper under your Majesty's leadership. Chunyu's words speak from a lofty perspective. Upon hearing this, Ying Zheng had to look up at Chunyu, nodding in satisfaction. Chunyu retreated to the middle of the team. I accidentally bumped into Lis again. Li Si stamped his foot in anger and became furious. Mad, did this old man drink today? The people of Daqin were curious and stared at the sky curtain without taking their eyes off. The heavenly curtain will tell them what exactly happened in this future world. Anyway, they don't have to worry about what the country doesn't have, and what the country doesn't have. You see, that history book is sloppy, pretending to be prosperous and chaotic. How could it ever pretend to be a small commoner like them? In the Western Han dynasty, Weiyang Palace. Emperor Hanwu was furious. brought a broken wine glass to the sky curtain. Nyang Shipi. The offspring are incompetent. The Xiongnu moved into the Central Plains. In the end, they even had the Japanese pirates attack them. Seeing the name of this last emperor, Emperor Wu of Han took it for granted that this was a descendant of the Xiongnu people. Damn it, foreign tribes dare to invade the Central Plains. The most hateful thing is, surprisingly, there are also so-called Japanese pirates bullying. For Emperor Wu of the strong Han dynasty, it is absolutely intolerable. Although he doesn't know what the Japanese pirates and the Eight-Nation Alliance are. But he knows the Xiongnu. For the glory of the emperor, for the sake of countless years, for the sake of leaving no regrets in youth, we must exterminate this Xiongnu today. So, Emperor Han Liu Che, he personally called for his Marshal Wei and Champion Ho, decided to take the Xiongnu who had already knelt down and called out their grandfather, cut down the grass and eradicate the roots. Through heaven and earth, ending the enemies of the past, present, and future, I will pave the way for future generations. During the Three Kingdoms period, Eastern Wu established its own business. Liu Bei was immersed in the gentle countryside. At this moment, the movement on the sky, alarmed many palace maids, let their service stop. Even Liu Bei himself, he also cast a curious gaze outside the window. However, when I saw it was after the war. Liu Bei lost interest. War. Damn it. Who hasn't fought before? Can't we just enjoy ourselves? Someone, come on. Keep playing music, keep dancing. In the Yongle dynasty of the Ming dynasty, Zhu Di smiled. There is another reason for the northern expedition. Isn't it just 20,000 to 70,000, you're slaughtering me again. Xian, Imperial Expedition. At the foot of the Coal Mountain. Is that all for now? Upon hearing the surname Zhou, Chongzhen immediately recognized it as the Jurchen tribe from the north. It seemed that the world had fallen into the hands of foreign tribes. He murmured to himself in disbelief. The Ming dynasty will eventually. I am not the ruler of a fallen country. Why should the world of the Ming dynasty fall into my hands? I don't want to be the culprit of the Ming dynasty either. After speaking, with the help of Wang Cheng'an, he walked towards the crooked-necked tree. Reopen, reopen. I want a more relaxed start. Abandon and clear. Qianlong looked at the sky curtain. First, there is suspicion, then came disbelief, finally, he stood up angrily. I have stamped a chapter on the preface to the Lanting collection in front of me. The last Emperor Puyi abdicated. The Eight-Nation Alliance. The invasion of Japanese pirates. Is that what I understand? Zhou Puyi. That should be my turtle grandson, right? Has my Qing dynasty fallen? The ministers below, like quails one by one, bury yourself deep into the soil, don't listen, Wang Ba recites the scriptures. The heavenly curtain is actually very obvious. In this world, there will be no more emperors in the future. This represents that the secular rules and laws that have lasted for thousands of years on the land of China have been buried in the hands of the Qing dynasty. At this moment, they have become eternal criminals of the feudal monarchy. Of course, the sin of abolishing Qing goes far beyond this. Foreigners. Japanese pirates. Qianlong looked at the screen, trembling with anger. I want to see what exactly happens in the future. In this future world, it's really unbelievable. Chapter 5. 1 inch of mountains and rivers, 1 inch of blood, 1 hand of hot earth, 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Amidst the curious gazes of the people of all dynasties and the generals and officials across from each other, a multiple-choice question suddenly popped up from the sky. 1 inch of mountains and rivers, 1 inch of blood, a handful of hot soil, and a handful of soul. Rewarded QA. Do you know how many people China sacrificed during the anti-Japanese war? A. 350000. B. 3.5 million. C. 35 million. d. 10 million. Ying Zheng was stunned and said, what's this novel thing? Could it be that this heavenly curtain will bestow upon me the elixir of immortality? 2,000 boys and girls, a fairy pill. Emperor Shi was sick for 4 years and ate for 3 years. For the sake of the elixir, his Afang palace was gone, and Daqin was also dragged down. Which emperor doesn't want to live forever? Can you guarantee that you can withstand the temptation of the elixir? He doesn't want to die, he wants to live forever. Ying Zheng has only ascended the throne for a few years, he just wants to live forever. What crime does he have? At the same time, the same problem also appeared in front of many kings. Emperor Wu of Han, Liu Che, said, during the war of resistance against Japanese aggression, the smallest number of sacrifices was as many as 350,000 people. Emperor Taizong of Tang, Li Shimin, said, the number of people who have suffered such great hardships in future generations must be much greater than I imagined, probably 1 million. I am a little bolder, choose B. Emperor Hongwu Zhu Yuanzhang said, 35 million. This is a direct death. How could there be so many people? Zhu Yuanzhang shook his head, feeling incredibly absurd for a certain entertainment option. The maximum population of the Ming dynasty only reached 70 million. Sacrificing half of the population of the Ming dynasty to resist the Japanese pirates. This is too far-fetched. Emperor Qianlong carefully pinched his finger and calculated, there were a population of 40 million in the heavenly dynasty, so the future generations will definitely not be as good as me, with a population of at most 10 million. Emperor Shi answered incorrectly. Han Gaozu answered incorrectly. Emperor Wu of Han answered incorrectly. Emperor Taizong of Tang answered incorrectly. Emperor Hongwu answered incorrectly. As Qianlong was about to answer, the sky curtain directly displayed one prompt after another. He was stunned and stuttered with fear. All of them are the names of the emperors of the previous dynasty. Does this miracle run through ancient history? Qianlong thought for a moment, but it was not unacceptable. The miracle is naturally extraordinary. Moreover, with the presence of divine objects, other former emperors would also see his great achievements and wise decisions. This is a big one. Qianlong, who had made great achievements, continued to analyze. There are only a few rebels who oppose the Qing dynasty and restore the Ming dynasty, and tens of thousands of people are enough. The Han people are extremely cowardly. If they can produce 100,000 cannon fodder, it's enough. The 8 banners are brave and skilled in battle, so why not sacrifice 2 to 300,000? 10 plus 25 equals 35. Without a doubt, it's inevitable to choose A. Proud and confident elderly person, blurt out. Next second. Qianlong's answer is incorrect. Ah. Emperor Yongle Zhu Di answered correctly, reward. 1 ultimate invincible route map of the Sailing King. The emperors of all dynasties were shocked to see this information. Zhao Kuanyin citric acid. Envy. With this route map, we can develop maritime trade, including not selling Kunlun slaves. This Emperor Yongle must have developed. Emperor Ying Zheng frowned and said, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many dynasties have there been after the Great Qin dynasty? Emperor Wu of Han said curiously, who is this Emperor Yongle? It feels like his name is a bit dragging, not weaker than mine. He answered correctly, but what is the correct answer? It can't be the least reliable one, can it? Zhu Yuanzhang said, you are truly my descendant, ha 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 byor. Mad, Lao Si. How could it be you? Yongle dynasty. Zhu Di fell into an unprecedented silence. Your Majesty, which option did you choose? A general asked curiously, but I saw Zhu Di's furrowed brow, as deep as a ditch. The civil and military officials were excitedly whispering and shouting loudly. My emperor is wise, and heaven blesses me with great brightness. However, at this moment, Zhu Di was hesitant to speak, because he couldn't believe it. I accidentally clicked the wrong option just now. Surprisingly, it is the correct answer. How could so many people be sacrificed in this future world? What kind of arduous and extraordinary battles did they go through? Thinking of this, Zhu Di couldn't feel happy. Soon, the answer was announced. The correct answer is C. From the Xia and Shang dynasties to the Republic of China. Throughout the dynasties, there were various civil and military officials, kings, nobles, generals, and ordinary people dressed in cloth, fearing a dead silence. About 35 million people sacrificed heroically. Emperors such as Ying Zheng, Liu Che, Li Shimin, Zhao Kuanyin, and Zhu Yuanzhang were all stunned and gradually became more serious. Alas! The literati exclaimed in amazement, their eyes wide open in disbelief. Du fu! I can't imagine what a chaotic world this is. I can't imagine it. P.S. For collection, for flowers, don't give any tips. Content summary. First, introduce the martyrs of the Sichuan and Yunnan armies to the ancients. After this section, there are various interesting short videos in the introduction, with historical content accounting for 30% and bizarre sand sculpture content accounting for 70%. Ensure to complete the introduction content before listing. Seeking flowers and collecting them. Chapter 6. The number of casualties in each province. Emperor Shihuang remains silent. 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Throughout history, both at home and abroad, there may have been thousands of dynasties and countries, but there are not many with a population exceeding 35 million. Even in modern times with advanced technology, only 38 countries have a population of 35 million or more. And it's the population. Sacrificing military and civilians are two completely different concepts. The Anlushan rebellion in the Tang dynasty, known as the most terrifying and deadliest upheaval in ancient China, saw a sharp decline in population of 40 million. But among these 40 million, only about 300,000 soldiers and civilians have truly sacrificed themselves on the battlefield. Why did ancient wars sharply reduce so much population? The biggest reason is that natural and man-made disasters are unbearable. The ability of ancient farmers to resist risks was really weak. There is a shortage of arable land, low grain production, and numerous harsh taxes. In the event of natural disasters, hundreds of thousands of people are often displaced. During times of war, encountering ruthless warlords can easily lead to massacres, so in times of chaos, the population of ancient dynasties would sharply decrease. But now, this video tells them. Later generations sacrificed approximately 35 million soldiers and civilians on the battlefield. Daqin. Ying Zheng remained silent. When he saw those 35 million numbers, I feel so heartbroken that I can't breathe. It hurts too much. Next, we will show the number of casualties in each province after September 18. All the people in the three eastern provinces fought to defend their territory and resist the enemy. Hebei, Shandong, Jiangsu, Tianjin, Shanghai, the entire territory fell, with countless casualties in the hinterland of the Central Plains. 1.9 million soldiers died in Hunan, 690,000 soldiers died in Hubei, and 560,000 soldiers died in Anhui. Three coastal provinces, Zhejiang, Fujian, and Guangdong, sacrificed a total of 1.5 million people. Yunnan, with a high score, sacrificed 380,000 yuan. Guangxi Laobiao, sacrificed 800,000 yuan. The inconspicuous Guizhou sacrificed 750,000 yuan. In the Red Base area, 880,000 soldiers were killed in battle in Shaanxi and Shaanxi, where 4 people traveled. 220,000 died in action. According to statistics, the Sichuan army deployed a total of 3.5 million troops and sacrificed over 2.5 million people. According to statistics, a total of 2.6 million people have died or been injured in Hunan province, of which 1.57 million have died. Almost 1 out of every 15 Hunanese has sacrificed their lives. Rising in the darkness, reborn in the dead, from the arrogant invasion of Japanese pirates to surrendering with a flag held between their tails. Time is just 14 years. Numbers, but they are shocking. During the Three Kingdoms period, Shihuang, Zhuge Liang was filled with emotions, to the point of tears. To sacrifice one's life for the country is to sacrifice one's life for justice. At this moment, each parallel spacetime, emperors, generals, civil servants, poets, saints, and even all commoners from various dynasties. Countless pairs of eyes were fixed on the image imprinted in the sky at this moment. That is a map evolution covered in blood and tears. Little Japanese pirates, starting from a corner in the north, quickly devoured most of China. Everywhere I passed, there was devastation everywhere. Big China, from the remote countryside, from the broken walls and ruins, gather little sparks into glory, the arrogance and smoke brought by the Japanese pirates, sweep it away. Observing small etiquette without great righteousness, being honest and shameless outside. Seeking personal gain without humanity, fearing authority without virtue, strong will lead to bandits and thieves, weak and humble. Shaori, isn't that the Japanese Empire in the East? Will they be so kind? Those guys are the most unpredictable in their actions, humble and despicable. Give some color and it will kick your nose and face. These guys are really holding back. Kanshi knew about this country and had no fondness for it at all. He had learned so much about China, but he didn't know how to be grateful. Tang Dynasty. Chang'an. Upon seeing this scene, Li Shimin coughed violently, and he tightly grasped the cuffs of his dragon robe. There was a strong anger in his eyes, but it was also mixed with confusion. Is this tragic number really brought about by that small island country in that tiny area? In his memory, the Japanese Empire in the East has always been humble, following the Tang dynasty's horse head. Not long ago, they also sent a Tang envoy to Chang'an to study. Tian Khan couldn't believe it, until he saw Nanjing. Those firecrackers, the Japanese pirates holding bayonets, the unarmed ordinary people of the opponent pulled the trigger recklessly. 300,000 soldiers and civilians, some buried alive, some drowned, even a woman raised a child high and was stabbed by a knife. Li Shimin couldn't help it anymore, I suppressed my cough and blushed. Learning. Learn your butt. After studying for so many years, I still feel like a beast, without understanding people's hearts. Killing and brutality coexist, without understanding benevolence and righteousness, disrespectful and immoral, and my animalistic nature is deeply ingrained. Bastard, it's time to kill. Someone, immediately search and kill all the Japanese people in Tang dynasty. Above the main hall, the courtiers knelt 3 times and kowtowed 9 times, with no one opposing. The title of Marquis is not my intention, I hope the sea is calm. Qi Jiguang kept muttering to himself, repeating this sentence, and in the next moment, his eyes burst into a brilliant light. The hand commanding the Mandarin Duck Army formation was also trembling slightly. At this moment, he actually wanted to shed tears. How can we tolerate Japanese pirates' invasion of our Ming territory and the land of China? If I could really control all of this, then the trouble of the Japanese pirates would have retreated long ago without fighting. How could future generations sacrifice so many people? Beside Ninghai, Qi Jiguang looked at the crashing waves, pounded his feet and chest, and let out a hysterical roar. Cough. 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 After roaring, he coughed violently. A generation of famous generals, national heroes, unexpectedly coughed up blood. Chapter 7. No river, no army. Undoubtedly. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The man aspires to leave Kuei Pass and vows not to return the Japanese slaves. Why bury your bones in mulberry fields? Life is full of green mountains. To save the country is not just the wish of national heroes, it is also the call of millions of grassroots people. Originally, they were just curious about these future Japanese pirates and came as soon as they arrived. Anyway, it was all a matter of unknown generations to come. After I die, what if he floods like a raging flood? But now, seeing the tangible sacrifice, they are becoming angry as they leave. Which province was strong in the anti-Japanese war? That must start from Sichuan. When it comes to Sichuan, perhaps the first things that come to mind are hot pot, Sichuan cuisine, Sichuan wine, Sichuan girls, and the land of abundance. The mountains and rivers are magnificent, but the difficulty of the Sichuan road is greater than reaching the blue sky. The difficulty of getting Sichuan people out of Sichuan is as difficult as going abroad, but few people can imagine that Sichuan is still China's strategic rear area, the third line of national defense construction, and the basic strategic base for providing protection for the survival and extinction of our country and nation. In modern times, Sichuan has played an indispensable role, Chuchuan. With the tragic background music, the first thing that comes into view is the map of China. As it zooms in, it gradually arrives in Sichuan. Finally, a voiceover sounded. Remember history and never forget national shame. The Sichuan army had a total of 3.6 million troops leaving Sichuan, but only 168,000 had returned, Sichuan King Liu Xiang. Before the age of 49, I was not very honorable. However, after calling Chiang Kai-shek to offer my support in the anti-Japanese war, I transformed from a warlord to a dignified general. He said to the bald head, "Our nation is going to perish. All of us in China are going to speak Japanese. The Sichuan army must be loyal to our nation and country." On the front line of the anti-Japanese war, Liu Xiang, the king of Sichuan, suffered from vomiting blood and left his last words. "We will never waver in the fight to the end, that is, the enemy will not withdraw from the country for a day, and the Sichuan army will swear not to return home for a day. If we want our race to survive, the only way is through the anti-Japanese war." They wear the most worn-out clothes and rush to the most intense battlefield. Reporter: What should you do in winter when you are wearing grass shoes? Soldier: I don't plan on living until winter. Shihuang: How can the land of China be manipulated by foreign countries and ethnic groups? Murder pays for life, blood repays blood, it's only natural. The Sichuan army is leaving Sichuan, that's great. In the narrow room, although the Prime Minister's voice was low, it struck the hearts of every Shu person like a heavy hammer. Yeah. How could the descendants of the ancient Shu people be covered? The map of China, with ancient Shu as the center, looks scattered around. Sichuan is located in the southwest of China, in the upper reaches of the Yangtze River, to the north of Shaanxi, Gansu, and Qinghai, to the south of Hunan, to the east of Chongqing and Guizhou, and to the west of Zizeng. There has always been a saying that Sichuan will not be destroyed, and China will not perish. Whenever foreign tribes invade and the nation is in danger, the Sichuan army will swear to defend the country to the death. Hechuan Fishing City, historically known as the place where God breaks his whip. In the late Southern Song dynasty, the Mongols invaded the south, and the Mongol hero Mengu led 100,000 soldiers to besiege the fishing city. However, he was hit by crossbows and arrows outside the city and died. From 1227 to 1279, the local military and civilians of Jiaoyu city persisted for nearly half a century, and even though the Southern Song dynasty had already perished, they did not give up. When the Yuan army broke through the city gate, in order to protect the people and surrender, 32 defending generals all drew their swords and committed suicide. What about the Golden Family? What about the Whip of God? What about Mongolian cavalry? Lousy Shudao Mountain is elite. The city is shattered with jade, and bloodshed can be seen everywhere since ancient times. The state of Ba has only had a decapitated general and no surrendered general in the video. There are often movie and television clips of heroes from various dynasties in Sichuan. Shizhou Qingtian is a female tycoon who raised her army to conquer the Liao dynasty in a remote area. She had the same name as Jisha at that time and only had high morale to relieve the slaughter of the people. Marry a general and wear a battle robe, go to battle to kill enemies and protect our country. At that time, Qin Liangyu, who was extremely famous, was from Sichuan, and even Huang Taiji dared not underestimate her. Emperor Chongzhen personally received Qin Liangyu, rewarded her with a large amount of wealth, silk, sheep, and wine, and wrote a hymn of praise for her. How many extraordinary men in the world are willing to travel thousands of miles on the battlefield? According to legend, Zhang Xianzhong was very cruel and liked to use human flesh as military food and human blood as horse feed. He left behind a 7-kill card, which read: "Born with all things and humans have nothing in heaven. Kill 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 kill." Under the rule of Zhang Xianzhong, there was a vast expanse of fertile land and no people, no harvest in autumn and no planting in spring. After Zhang Xianzhong was killed, Sichuan continued to persist in anti-Qing and restoration of the Ming dynasty, and then went through the battles of Jin and Chuan. It was not until the Kangxi and Qianlong periods that the anti-Qing and restoration of the Ming dynasty gradually subsided. However, by this time, the Sichuan region had already become 1,000 or 2. The Shu people's rebellion against the Qing and Ming dynasties went through 3 massacres, almost leaving no trace of them. The Qing court promulgated the system of shaving hair and changing clothing, and the Ming dynasty's former Donglin Qinglu, gentry, and landlords all chose to surrender. Even the Yan Shinggong Kong mansion chose to practice and surrender, but the choice of the Shu people remained steadfast. In the end, Chengdu prefecture was littered with corpses and bones, leaving only less than 100,000 elderly, weak, women, and children. So there was Hubei filling the river. Chapter 8. China is about to perish, the people of Hunan will die first. You are listening at novelfull.audio. During the War of Resistance against Japan, Sichuan suffered the highest casualties in the country. The number of soldiers in Sichuan accounted for 1/5 of the total number of soldiers in the country. Sichuan bore 1/3 of the food needed for the war and half of the national financial expenditure. At that time, there was a man in his 50s named Wang Zhicheng who voluntarily signed up to fight against the Japanese. He was told that he was over age, so he asked his son Wang Jiantang to join the army. When Wang Jiantang went to gather, Wang Zhicheng gave him a flag, and the onlookers looked in awe, with a big "death" written on it and a small character next to it. "I don't want you to be filial near me, I only wish you to be loyal to your ethnicity." In times of national crisis, the Japanese invaders are ferocious. The rise and fall of a country are divided among the people. I intended to serve, but I am too old. I am fortunate to have a son, so I voluntarily volunteered. Give a flag and always carry it with you. Wipe blood when injured, wrap yourself after death, move forward courageously, and never forget your duty. Father's Edict. The video continues to feature scenes of Sichuan people defending their country on the battlefields of Taizhuang, Zhazhuang, and Songhu, but the comment section is collectively occupied. Sacrificing oneself in a national disaster, seeing death as fleeting as returning home. Tears in my eyes, the world only knows that our Sichuan army of 3.6 million soldiers bravely crowned the Third Army, but they do not know that every household in Sichuan is made of plain silk, with white silk hanging from every household, and there are no sons or daughters in 10 or 9 households. Crying uncontrollably. No river, no army. Undoubtedly. Wherever you go in Sichuan, you can find someone who has gone up 3 generations. There must be some direct relatives who went out to participate in the anti-Japanese war. That's right, my grandfather's 5 brothers, 3 brothers who went out of Sichuan to fight against the Japanese, but none of them came back and only received a death notice. The 3rd brother died in Shanghai, and there was only one 3 brothers' clothes and crown tomb in his hometown. My grandfather often told stories about his 3 brothers while he was alive, and tears streamed down his face every time. Don't say that the Xinyu people in Sichuan and Chongqing are too fierce. Laozi's Sichuan Road Mountain was all because a man died, and he had to do it to protect himself. It feels like later on, Shu was always determined to never surrender. There has only been one time in history where surrender was achieved through courtesy, leaving a lasting impression in history. Dog heads protect their lives. Funny, are you talking about the man who entered and exited 7 times on Nagasaki slope? That's right, it's him, Liu Che. Shuhan. In the 24th year of Jianan. Chengdu. Liu Che saw the barrage, my eyes lit up in a flash, excited, he sat up straight. Father, Xiangfu. Have you seen it? Later generations are praising me. Zhuge Liang shook his feather fan hand and paused, my forehead's veins jumped. Liu Bei saw that the people of Sichuan were brave enough to resist foreign invasion, sometimes clapping and cheering, sometimes dancing and dancing. Then, he saw this negative example from his own family. I suddenly felt extremely ashamed. Turning his head to look at Liu Che, however, Liu Che raised his head, with a proud expression on his face. We didn't disappoint our father, we left a name in history. We did not disappoint our father, and future generations will praise me. We didn't disappoint Uncle Yun, Nagasaki slope, and he entered and exited 7 times together, let's talk together. Looking at Liu Che's stunned expression, Liu Bei let out a deep sigh, she shook her head helplessly, but for some reason, I felt relieved in my heart. Great Hunan, Hengyu Chi Tian. After Sichuan and Sichuan, it's Hunan as the saying goes, a modern history is half the history of Hunan. As early as the late Qing dynasty, Zheng Guofan referred to his army as the Xiang army, to distinguish it from the official army. This is the first time in the Qing dynasty that an army used a local flag in order to compete for the vanguard among 40,000 Chinese people. Tan Sitong founded the Xiang Daily, and called out for the idea of Hunan autonomy, stating that the new words of the husband are in today's world, and it is only our Xiang calling. Huang Xing and Song Jiaran formed their own revolutionary group in Hunan, Huaxing. But what Hunan people say is one thing, what they do is another. This sentence is more like praising the Hunan dialect spoken by the people of Hunan. On the surface, it promotes the supremacy of Hunan, but behind the scenes, it is about saving China. Zheng Guofan set off from Xiangxiang, Hunan, and went to fight in East China to save the Qing court. He never held the arrogance of the Hunan army, and never returned to Hunan after achieving success. Sui Zongtong was also a member of the Xiang army. In his later years, he vowed to recapture Xinjiang, defend China, carry a coffin and embark on a campaign in the northwest, never returning to Xiang again. Tan Sitong faced the call of duty and resolutely went to the capital to submit a letter to the emperor. After the failure of the reform, he became the first martyr of China's bloodshed for the country. Huang Xing cooperated with Sun Yat-sen to merge Huaxing Association and Qingzhao Association into the Chinese Revolutionary League. As one of the actual leaders of the Xinhai Revolution, Huang Xing helped Sun Yat-sen become president, ranking behind him. Moreover, as a teacher, after being exposed to Marxism, he looked at the world and longed for the Chinese people to stand up and the world. What makes no river without an army, fart. That's right, as Zheng Guofan said, without Xiang, we cannot form an army. The order of Xianggui River can never be disorderly, it belongs to the glory of the ancestors of the Xiang people. Without Xiang, no army can be formed, and deceit and fame theft are not allowed. China is about to perish, the people of Hunan will die first. If it weren't for the Battle of Songhu, the Hunan army would have exhausted all their resources, and the Japanese would not have stepped into half of Hunan. The millennium-old city of Hengyang was flattened, which is why China has the only anti-Japanese war memorial city. A big fire on Wensi Festival burned me to tears, leaving me in the countryside. In times of chaos, you are the best at fighting, and in times of prosperity, you are the best at working. IP Magic City, Soul Questions from Jiangxi Laobiao. Huan, I'm emo now. Located in Nanyang. Piercing the old iron IP Hunan, before the Sichuan army left and the Guangdong army was exhausted, only 3,000 of the 900,000 Guangdong army returned from the anti-Japanese war, with no one leading the military achievements. In the early stages of the anti-Japanese war, the sacrifice of the Guangdong army was enormous, and the world only knew that in turbulent times, Sichuan and Hunan were expensive, and in prosperous times, Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou were prosperous. Without Sichuan, no army could be formed, and without Hunan, no generals could be formed. However, the world did not know that without Guangdong, no country could be established. Almost every town in Guangdong has martyr cemeteries. The Guangdong army was completely defeated by the Sichuan army, while the Hunan and Guangxi armies died in pairs. Who knows that our Qian army is in mourning, and it is difficult to return home elsewhere. The people of Guizhou have their own sacrifices and do not seek fame from others. Huguang fills the river, come back with the old form. During the 8 years of the War of Resistance against Japan, the wolf soldiers in Guangxi fought bravely, with millions of flags waving and the enemy shivering with fear. In the Battle of Guilin, 20,000 Gue soldiers fought a bloody battle against 150,000 Japanese invaders, and the soldiers defended their territory and country without retreating. On the day of the city's destruction, the division commander Can Wei-yong left a desperate poem. 10 million heads and one heart, unwilling to sacrifice their lives, leaving a name for their lives, leaving their skin behind, and cutting off their heads not to become a surrendered general. During the 8 years of the anti-Japanese war, the wolf soldiers from Guangxi fought throughout the country. They bid farewell to their hometowns and rushed to the front line, fighting in Shanghai, protecting the southwest, supporting Changsha, and defending Wuhan. They then fought for thousands of miles and shed blood in Zhuozhou. According to relevant data statistics, the people of Guangxi, with their strong folk customs, were filled with indignation and actively joined the army. In the 8 years of resistance since 1937, Guangxi, with a population of only 12 million, sent 1 million soldiers, along with migrant workers and laborers, totaling 4.5 million, accounting for 37.5% of the total population in the province. Under the wave of nationwide participation in the military and resistance against Japan, Guangxi students also resolutely joined the army and served the country with ease, establishing the Guangxi Student Army. In the Battle of Kunlun Pass, a group of student troops were surrounded by Japanese invaders. They fought to the end and would rather die than retreat. This is the fighting spirit of the 8 Gue children in the anti-Japanese war to the end, willing to sacrifice themselves. It was with such fighting spirit that even after Shihui surrendered, the Japanese army was unable to completely occupy Guangxi to destroy China. We must first pacify Guangxi, but why should China be destroyed if Guangxi is not pacified? Chapter 9. Teaching the Supreme Glory of the Core. Abstract Anhui. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Cousin, I came out and said, the Battle of Songhu took 5 hours to defeat not a single division. What a terrible wolf soldier. My cousin, I came out and said, unfortunately, many people nowadays use modern traders to distort history and belittle Guangxi. All 27 ancestors of our clan have sacrificed themselves in Shanghai, leaving only a tomb with 27 clothes and hats buried together. Let us, the descendants of all our branches, gather to pay respects during the Qingming festival. Xiang Feizhu said, I admit that the wolf soldiers in Guangxi do indeed dominate the world, but if I produce the outstanding performance of the Xiang army in the Battle of Songhu, how should your excellency respond? Zhuge Office. If you say that, I will be leaving our central army. In front of Yuhua Terrace, on Zijin Mountain. Teaching Corps, please advise. Zhuge Office. Teaching Corps, half in Songhu, half in Nanjing. In the Battle of Nanjing, the 88th Division of the Deshi Army fought bloody battles at Shuishi Gate, Zhonghua Gate, Wuding Gate, and Yuatai. The 36th Division of the Deshi Army fought bloody battles at Xuanwu Gate, Hongshan, Shoufu Mountain, and Yijian Gate. The 87th Division fought bloody battles in the areas of Tongji Gate and Guanghua Gate. The Central Military Academy instructed the headquarters to fight bloody battles at Guanghua Gate, Zhongshan Gate to Taiping Gate, Zijin Mountain, Qilin Gate, and Tianbao City. My students have all died in battle, it's my teacher's turn to teach. Do you know that my wife is pregnant again? Zhuge office. Did you see that? Our Central Army is not a coward. There are no soft eggs under the M35 helmet. Duching oil field. I saw 8 divisions of our Northeast Army. Duching oil field. The march of the volunteers is the best proof for the Northeast Army. Duching oil field. My home is in the northeast, on the Songhua River, where there are mountains and fields full of soybeans and sorghum. Tears, 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 there are many generous and tragic people in the land of Yan and Zhao, but why do we rarely hear people talk about the tragic sacrifices and glorious achievements of the Northeast Army? General L.V. Qingzhao once pointed out the reasons for this in his later years. He said that the situation of the Northeast Army was very awkward. Whenever there was danger during the war, Chiang Kai-shek would send the Northeast Army there. During the Shanghai battle, Chiang Kai-shek withdrew all his legitimate troops and instead had the Northeast Army act as a defender and be shot. When crossing the river, many people drowned in the Northeast Army, and during the war, many more died. But when people died, they died. Chiang Kai-shek did not give praise or compensation, and even used the excuse that all the soldiers had died to cancel the designation of this Northeast Army unit. Jiang Zhang never fired a single shot, but the Northeast Army never gave up resistance on the Songhua River. As is well known, our 3 eastern provinces were the first to resist Japan. 1-1. Ah! Shanghai Emperor. Ah, what, how many divisions did you produce in the Battle of Songhu? You dare to shout here. Anhui, Anhui. 4 divisions. Sihiyuan. For teachers, are you afraid you've made me laugh my teeth out? 1-1. Well, what we're saying is there a possibility that there will be no Anhui army in the Battle of Shanghai? After the complete downfall of the 44th/55th/56th/57th division, the Anhui army lost even its name. Jiangsu 13 Taibao. Who is bullying Anhui and Anhui? East Jerusalem. Where have the other Anhui armies gone? I know. In the Beiyang Navy. At the bottom of the Yellow Sea. On the Dingyuan ship. Sichuan, Sichuan spicy hot pot. The First Sino-Japanese War, the Huai army fought 1 province and 1 country. In the Battle of Songhu, the Anhui army's wealth was wiped out. The new 4th Army suffered a tragic defeat in the Anhui Southern Incident. What are you barking at in a dog, my cousin? I came out and said, Mr. Hu, speaking while standing doesn't hurt your back. I know that our Gui army has taken in a lot of Anhui and Anhui to fight together in the later stage. Zhou Li Ban. The Central Army is on the same level. Mother Sheepy. Who is Gua Gui? You don't have any psychological pressure, do you? Only when the world is peaceful and auspicious, it's for Anqing. The anti-Japanese War of the Hui people began in 1894. As the only one with 2 abstract cities, the provinces where Wuhu took off and Bengbu settled, the anti-Japanese War of the Hui people, it is both tragic and abstract. Since the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom, Southern Anhui joined the Taiping Army, Central Anhui joined the Huai Army, and Northern Anhui joined the Nian Army. Standing on 3 legs, they all have a bright future. In the First Sino-Japanese War, not to mention the Beiyang Navy, 7 towns and 8 distant areas, almost all of them are from Anhui. During the anti-Japanese War, there is the Anhui Army in the Central Army, the Anhui Army in the Northwest Army, the Anhui Army in the Guangxi-style Wolf Army, the Anhui Army in the Sichuan Army, and the new 4th Army in the Tuba Road. This is not the most outrageous. Even within the security team, there is also the presence of the Anhui army. Historical records, the Wuwei security team, nearly 2,000 people, the equipment is extremely poor, there is only one Czech machine gun. But no one surrendered, the whole army was destroyed. Why bury the bones in the land of mulberry leaves? Where in the world is the Anhui army? Dog head, you just say, is it abstract or not? Chile office. 6. Hidafe said, no, I live in Bumbu now. Jiangsu 13 Taibao said, I didn't expect someone in Anhui with thick eyebrows and big eyes to know the art of clone. Dinosaur anti-wolf. You seem to praise Anhui, but it seems to smear a bit. One Qingzhao said, bad news, the Anhui army is gone. Good news, the Anhui army has regenerated the appearance of all its sister troops. P.S. There are a total of 5 chapters tonight. Ask for some fresh flowers. Chapter 10. The blade of the monument only points towards the enemy. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. For over 2,000 years, the bloodiness of the old Qin people has not diminished. After the outbreak of the War of Resistance against Japan, Northwest officers and soldiers participated in a series of major battles such as the Battle of Niangziguan, the Battle of Taierzhuang, the Battle of Wuhan, and the Battle of Suizhou. The most classic line of the Northwest Army is still that, the big sword struck at the heads of the devils. Shaori's bayonet is indeed powerful, but their tactical training is based on bayonets as hypothetical enemies. I haven't seen my big sword in China. That's all for being petty. It has been over 1,000 years since the Tang dynasty was overthrown, I can't even learn Mo Dao. The big knife team of the Northwest Army, since the Japanese artillery attack in 1925, it's using the Japanese army as a hypothetical enemy. The battlefield combat technique created, specialized bayonet, the specific application is knife back blocking, backhand hook. With the back of the knife facing outwards and the blade facing towards oneself, the enemy thrust forward, blocking with force, pushing with the flow, hooking with the backhand, and slashing towards the neck. Without lightning to cover their ears, the sharp blade hit the enemy's neck. Not only that, but also close combat. The Northwest Army knows how to leverage its strengths and avoid its weaknesses, pay special attention to night attacks when killing enemies. Smear at night, infiltrate enemy camps, touching someone who hasn't worn bitter tea leaves is like a knife, the enemy split up with their corpses in their sleep. The Battle of Zaifengkou in Rihe, after September 18, China's first major victory in the War of Resistance against Japan, it is a masterpiece of the big knife team. 3,000 owl heads in one night. So much so that later on, when sleeping at night, you have to wear an iron ring around your neck. Dog circle. The lines of subtitles shook the hearts of emperors, generals, and ministers of all dynasties. Sichuan, Yan and Zhao, they know. But the Guangxi army, the Guangdong army, where is the representative place? And those provinces with slightly changed names, they were lost. Daqin, Xianying. The bloodline of the old Qin people. Fighting to the death in Zongxiashan. This sentence, like the most brilliant meteor, in the eyes of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, make his pupils dilate in an instant. So this Northwest Army is from my old Qin. But soon, the shock on Ying Zheng's face, being immensely proud, replace it. Brave old Qin, go to the national crisis together. The wind of the great Qin rises, and the world is invincible. Immediately, Ying Zheng said arrogantly. I know, my descendants are all proud. Abstract. It's really a bit. Seeing this scene, Zhu Yuanzhang couldn't help but laugh. Behind him, Lan Yu, Tang He, Chang Yuchen, and Fu Yud all laughed. For over 50 years, from the beginning to the end, these little brats, dared to speak to his predecessors and ancestors, as it showcased glory and passion. Huiran should guard against arrogance and impatience. Dare to teach a lesson in front of my blue jade. The future is too abstract, isn't it? With a suppressed smile, the leader of the beggars' sect shouted angrily. If this is the sacrifice of future generations, then I would rather the emperor guard the country's gates. After the death of the king, the land of the land, I will never let a Japanese pirate invade China. That's right, your majesty. I'm going to fight against the Japanese pirates. I'm wasting my time as a duke. Give me 50,000 people. If I can't take the Hua Island, big brother, you can change my title to Duke of Liang. For a while, a fierce general in the early Ming dynasty, they all volunteered for war and pacified the Japanese nation. Zhu Yuanzhang's gaze continued to fall on the sky curtain, but with a wave of his arm, gripped tightly with 5 fingers, I made a crushing gesture. Blue jade, always in spring, Tang He. On. Leading an army of 50,000 and capturing the country of Japan. Be sure to snatch all, burn all, and kill all. Laozi Shudao Mountain, listen carefully, no river cannot form an army. Once again, don't steal anymore. As the saying goes, without Xiang, there cannot be a defeated army. Are all your numbers true? The most important thing is that without Guangdong, one cannot become a country. Since ancient times, the Central Plains have been China. Jiangxi fired its first shot, and we are the ones who sacrificed the most, okay? Our old Qin is talented and powerful. Every county in Shandong has martyr cemeteries. Who isn't it? Don't argue, soldiers from all provinces are all good examples. Recitation of the entire army. All those who stir up national unity are traitors, smiling. All those who stir up national unity are traitors, smiling. All who stir up national unity are traitors, smiling. The comments section has been coordinated and unified. The video is almost over. 2. The final shot, it was given to the martyrs' cemetery. Looking up, it is a huge monument, soaring into the clouds. Take a closer look, the surface of the monument is densely packed, carved with the names of one martyr after another. Behind the monument, between the green pine and verdant cypress, heroic tombstones stand quietly. A gentle breeze brushes over the treetops, make a rustling sound. It seems to be telling something. Do you know why the monument is square? Because the sword of China always points only at the enemy. The sword has been sheathed, and the country is at peace. Hidden in the body, waiting for the moment to move. Show others bluntness and use sharpness to guide oneself. Zhang Feng comforts his loyal bones. If any enemy invades again, take out your scabbard and control the mountains and rivers again. Dear loyal martyrs, we have never met before. As a gift from you, please accept the 3 bows of the younger generation. Worshipping the martyrs for their loyalty, bravery, and protection of the country, the spirit of paying homage to the martyrs is immortal. 3 Thanks to the martyrs, bless me China. If there is a national crisis, we should emulate our predecessors. Give up life and death to fight against foreign enemies. Death is greater than life, as heavy as Mount Taishan, the national soul. Salute, Cao Cao, salute to heroes, salute, salute. I don't know why, looking at this scene, from the emperors and generals to the prime ministers, at dawn, the people, the eyes gradually began to turn red. At this moment, they really want to cry.